Hi everybody, welcome to the Connection Hub, and if you are returning, welcome back. This video doesn't have a title yet. I'm going to speak off the cuff in terms of what's happening of late and what's been top of mind for me, and it might be a little bit of a mix and match of different things, but ultimately I think we'll be able to navigate towards a particular theme and a message that we can hold on to. When I started the channel, and I've said this in one of the previous videos, I wanted to create a space where people could come when they felt they had nowhere else to turn, or when they felt alone, as if they are the only ones going through a particular subject. When you look on the internet, it is rife with messages around division, around anger, around messages that don't necessarily bring you back to what does it mean to be a human, what does it mean to live an ordinary life and still contend with challenges on a day-to-day basis. And where we have been given this message through various sources that life is about finding happiness and being happy and being positive. That is simply not the reality, and that is not the purpose of life, because the purpose of life is not to avoid suffering. The purpose of life is how do we find ourselves and how do we stay grounded in the midst of suffering and the things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. This past week I have felt like everything has just come together in this big storm. And what I've had to do was go into this place of how do I become the eye of the storm? How do I become the stillness when everything around me is just swirling? And what's swirling around me? Many times when we go through life, we feel that everybody has their life intact. Everybody else knows what to do. They seem like they're managing and they can cope with life. And we feel like we are the only ones that's struggling, that can't get over a certain thing, etc. Well, this week it was very different for me, in that I received messages from various people, various parts of the world, to let me know of their suffering or to give me insight into some of the suffering that they have been going through. On a very personal level, my aunt, my father's sister, passed away, and she was the last remaining sibling of that generation. And so that was really hard to process. Very emotional time. I've had insight into a dear friend of mine whose father has had a stroke, and he had to travel 8 hours because he's an only child to be with his father and be with his mother as well during this difficult time. And that has sort of stirred a lot of emotion in me, especially since I've lost both of my parents already, and I know how hard it is when you're dealing with aging parents. I've come up against some questions around morals and ethics in terms of people's behavior and how does that stack up in terms of my own belief system. And then ensuing was the moral conflicts in terms of, but my moral values cannot be imposed on other people, but at the same time, what is the thing that holds steady within me? What is that knowing that carries me forth? And this happened in terms of a relationship and certain dynamics that's currently at play. And this happened in terms of a person that had portrayed a certain lifestyle to me over a long period of time. And since our relationship shifted a bit, they have shifted as well, but in a way that contradicts to the ethics and the morals that they had portrayed while we had a closer relationship. And that has been very hard for me to sit with. I've been informed or come to know about someone who has lost their job, and they're going through a lot of financial strain at this point in time. And so the whole week has just felt like, oh my gosh, I actually don't know what to think, how to process all of this. And it brought me to this, okay, but what is your anchor? When everything around you is swirling, when everything around you is shifting, how do you become the eye of the storm? How do you, what anchors you in this life? What are the things that's going to hold you steady? The things that's going to let you know that, yes, you can cope with this. These things are happening, and they are always happening all the time, and sometimes they feel like they're more in your face than further away because they're happening to people that's quite close to you. But how do you also trust that they can cope with whatever is happening in their life? They have their own guidance system, their own values, their own morals. And you have to find a place where you can be in harmony with whatever's happening for them, even if there's discomfort on your side. And if that discomfort arises within you, how do you sit with that discomfort? What decisions do you have to make, right? Because that comes up for all of us. And so I suppose this message this week is not about a particular topic, a particular food of thought. It is more around this is life. And this happens to all of us on a day-to-day basis. And how do we show up when we don't want to show up? How do we get out of bed when we don't want to get out of bed? How do we own what is ours and the way that we show up? How do we apologize when we have made mistakes? How do we live and have empathy for others when you feel that it is in deep conflict with your own morals and values? How do you sustain that? Because we truly never innocent or without fault or blame, or there's a specific word I'm looking for that's not coming forth right now, but what I'm trying to say is, how do we hold space for others, even if it goes up against our own belief systems and values? How do we hold space for others when their journey is triggering some unhealed parts within us? How do we do that? And the answer that I keep on coming back to is find your grounding. Ground yourself, find your footing, be steady, have a strong back and a soft front. And that's by Brené Brown. It's beautiful. How do you stay firm and grounded when all of the things are happening around you, yet your heart remains open and you have a sense of connection to others and empathy for what they are going through? This is life. This is life of an ordinary person. And I feel it is of the utmost importance that messages like these exist on the internet as well. And I hope that when someone feels lost, overwhelmed, confused, alone, this message finds them, to let them know you are not alone. People go through this, and it might not be right in front of you, it might not be discussed with you, but we all go through challenging times. And so once again, this is probably a little bit all over the place, but isn't that life? And the only way that we can bring it back and filter it, and as things move around us, stay grounded and we just move moment by moment with consciousness, with awareness, recognizing what's our path, what is our perception, our story in all of this, and what is the best decision that I can make in this moment that I can live with myself 5 years from now when I lie awake 3 a.m. in the morning. And so I hope if you've listened to this point, thank you. Thank you for being with me as I am processing all of what I've just discussed and what's happening in my world at this point in time. And I hope it'll bring some comfort to you. Take it easy. Life is not about eliminating suffering. Life is about how do we stay centered and grounded in the midst of suffering. And when the joy comes onto our path, how do we embrace it and let it sink into us and have open arms when it does come. Sending this message to you with much love.